Hello and welcome to the first ever CAF mod dev stream. Um, yeah, it's the stream for the Canadian Armed Forces modification for squad, and my name is r0tzbua. I'll be kinda your host today, and we'll look at some things and do some other things. Look at some texturing and substance painter, and yeah, but I'm not alone here. My super co-host is Mitsu, who's also on the team, and I'll let him introduce himself for now.
Hey everyone, I'm Mitsu. Most of you guys know me. I'm currently on CAF mod. I'm the project lead, doing project management and marketing, and yeah, managing these guys with extremely valuable talent and who are very dedicated and have produced very great results so far. And we were super stoked to show you some more details of what we've been working on the past half a year and what is to come.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, my name is r0tzbua. Basically, 3D model on the project, texture guy, 2D stuff, whatever comes up. Yeah. So, I hope everyone's hearing everything all right and fine. Just give me a small input in chat if you can't hear me, which I hope don't, and if you heard Mitsu talking. I hope you did. First and foremost, I'm very sorry for my accent. As you can hear, it's not Canadian, and you kind of have to live with it. I'm sorry. If someone says "get to the chopper" in chat, I'll get really mad. So yeah, what have we been doing over the last few months? I think it's now. When did we start?
Officially, we started late January, the beginning of February. This is sort of the time where we decided to do a Canadian Armed Forces mod. There were a few faction mods in question, and we've decided to go with the Canadians because they have a very distinct and unique take on their gear, on their equipment. They have a very distinct look, and they're relatively easy for us to implement because they share so much with the US in terms of animation sets and the like. So yeah, it's almost it is pretty much half a year now, and we started slowly showcasing things we've been working on, and are slowly showing more the more we progress. There's a just as a heads up, there's a full announcement in the works. We currently are sorting our media assets and marketing materials to show you everything, what the mod is about, to have a place like a website where you can read up things, and a full trailer is in the works too. So you can be sure we're definitely not reducing the pace at this point. We really want to create something that's very valuable to the community, and we hope you'll enjoy.
Yeah, great introduction. So just that you guys aren't afraid, since you're hearing an Austrian and German accent now, we also have at least one Canadian on the team. So
Yeah.
we have a really awesome team, and he helped us greatly. His name is Baron von Boyce. He's also in the squad modding hut hanging around, and I think he's also in the chat hanging around. And if you have any questions in the stream, I won't be checking the chat all the time, but Mitsu will, so if you have something, just shoot it up. And a small introduction, I guess, for everyone that didn't follow us the last few times. What we've been mostly working on for now is the player models, which is one of the hardest things to ever do in a mod, because character modelers aren't that much around, There's a very hard profession and something you can't always find on the market. And I'm very sorry because my cat keeps meowing into my ear. I may be distracted. So this is the main thing we're working on right now, and we've been working on for the last few months. This is our first iteration of the character, and since we released it and showed it to Baron, and he showed it to some friends of his and from the army, some guys, and we received quite a lot of great feedback. So that was really valuable to us, and we're in the process of reworking some parts of it, and we'll see some of that today. But for now, this is what we have. Everything you see in this stream is work in progress, of course, so nothing's set in stone. We have this beautiful character, including super creepy eyes. And yeah, other stuff that we have are this C7 rifle I'm still working on to make it a bit better, but just get a small nice fly around. Arsonist, hi. No, I'm not a squad dev, I'm just an admin on the modding hub, so I'm not an official squad dev. So yeah, we received great input from the guys who were shown this, like this vest we're having here is in use, but it's rather the old version and they're replacing it right now. So we worked on a new vest. We have a new bayonet because this is super old and also not in use anymore, or not all that much. And yeah, we have different variations of the character. You may have seen this from one of our screenshots. This is the scene I set up to show some of them. We tried to make it very modular. Jettins did a great job in the modular system. So we have really a lot of different stuff on one character. We have different gloves, like a full glove, a half glove, like cut these fingers. We have these face masks, which help a lot when you're crawling around in the dirt, at least what I thought. Also, these beautiful goggles. We have, this can all be turned on and off, of course. So we have all the different versions, different faces. This one looks super creepy. Oh god. Different helmet straps, and we're trying to make quite a few different variations of all our characters, so not everyone looks completely the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add, the faces you see here are not created by ourselves. We're actually using photoscanned face meshes from a very reputable vendor, and we've obviously adapted them and are still working on them to make them look as real as possible. The shader is not complete, so they look very flat on their skin. But using photoscanned data really helps to sell the character to be more realistic and alive, because there's certain parts you can't really model, and that's some basic facial expressions. And yeah, it definitely helps using scanned data, at least for the fingers, I think it is, and for the face. Everything else is pretty much just modeled from scratch by Jettins, and it has been taken, I think, over 4 to 5 months to get to this stage. So there has been lots of reworking, lots of additions, obviously based on the feedback from current military personnel of the Canadian Armed Forces. We've decided to add things like the new vest we're talking about earlier, and minor things that some active duty personnel would not use any longer, we've decided to swap out for different things. So yes, it's constant progress, and as r0tzbua said, creating a character is so much work. You need a full team to really back up the information, to gather information, to double check if everything is correct. But yeah, I think the result so far is pretty great.
Yeah, also you can see there's still, for now we have 4 faces, but we're working on a set on 4 new ones. I'm lagging a bit behind here. That's why this poor dude has like no face at all for now. But we have a second set of 4 faces in the work, so for now we'll be using 8 faces then. Once I completely scrapped all the hair and the beard, cleaned up the scans a bit. So yeah, some things that were talked about on Reddit, which we are super aware of, is we are not using a real C79A2 scope right now. This is just a simple retexture of squad scope. So personally, I am still working on completing the full C7 set. So other than what we have right now, we'll have the right scope without the knob on the side. We'll have the Cadex front grip. We'll have the M203, of course, the Canadian version made by Colt Canada, and things like a small pack box and everything that's specially needed for super armed forces of today. Also, I'm working on a C8 version of it, so we can get all the special forces in here. Since I originally promised some leaks, I thought I'd do it right now and start to leak some things, or at least one thing, because our super talented other modeler named Frederick, sorry, I'm butchering your name totally here, is working on the Carl Gustav right now. So we're getting our first rocket launcher, and it's looking superb, I think. That's the high poly model, of course. He's working on it right now. This is the last renders from last night. So it's some super awesome thing that's currently in progress to get our arsenal up to full power. Other than this, I think you've seen everything in our latest videos and so on, but you haven't seen, I think, the C7 in first person, because we made it possible right now. It works on the M4 enemies, sorry. Oh, and I have some particle effects in the background, nice. This is personally just my messing around scene where I put screenshots in and so on. But, oh, yeah, we have the C7 working in-game right now on the M4 animations.
Yeah, which works pretty well. Like, yeah. I mean, it's almost the same base, so we obviously want to use or reuse as much from Squad as possible, just to make the mod a bit lighter on the HUD on the file size, I should rather say, and that also ensures future compatibility. So if for some reason the M4 reload animation would change, we could just live update that change and have it in the mod at no additional development cost. And this really makes the mod integrate really well into the base game. So you'll try to have the smallest size of a mod as possible with the most content. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. And additionally, we also had a small playtest, I think, a month or two ago. So the mod is completely playable. We created a few variations of existing AS layers that we've used to introduce the Canadian Armed Forces to some selected community members. And the feedback itself in game is pretty great. People are happy with the texture resolution, with texel density on the gloves. It really makes them stand out and look very detailed. So the weapons and the hands look very similar in quality. So we don't sacrifice any kind of quality in first person either.
Yeah, personally, I myself am quite proud to say of this C7, because it turned out so nice in game that I don't often brag about my stuff, but this is one of the models and textures I'm most happy with that I ever did. But we're not here to look at old stuff, are we? No, we're here to look at some new stuff. And as I said, we got some feedback from the people that we showed our stuff to, and one of the biggest ones was where the fuck are backpacks? Which, of course, we didn't have right now, and we're not using this crappy old West anymore. So let's look at this stuff, I think, because Jettins remodeled this, and the other input was this holster shit and no one uses it, but I simply love how it looks, so we're keeping this. It's an executive decision. So this is our new stuff. Some of this you already saw, like the goggles. And this is like our latest addition to the things we put in, and these are exactly the colors everything will have in game, of course. But no, for real, I thought it would be nice to look into these and start texturing them up maybe for a bit to have really some development in this development stream. And I suddenly realized I'm not really used to talking that much, so I'm very sorry if my voice started to sound like a 16-year-old guy. I'm actually 33.
Yeah, I can turn to chat and answer some questions. So, Arsonist asks if we'll have some sort of air branch, and it really depends how far squad will go. Wherever squad goes, we'll follow. So if they introduce light utility helicopters, we'll do the same. If they introduce heavy utility helicopters like whatever Black Hawk, we'll do the same. So we want to make sure that we're on 1-to-1 parity with squad, so that our mod integrates 100% into the base game, so that people, if they switch to a server that runs CAF mod, they don't feel like, oh, this is a half-finished product. We really want to have this be feel as if it was part of the game. And that's why we will strictly follow whatever OWI decides to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if OWI introduces MBTs in the near future, we'll obviously look into getting the Leopards 2 rolling. Obviously, that's far off. We'll focus on infantry equipment and weaponry first, and then introduce smaller vehicles, like the TAPV, for instance. But we'll definitely try to be on 1-to-1 parity with whatever squad provides. So I'm hoping that answers your question.
So any questions you have, like anything that comes up, just simply shoot it along. Mitsu is quite happy to answer them, I think. Maybe if you have questions for the artists, we can relay them. So anything you want to ask them.
Yeah, Yuri, just to clarify, I meant our MBTs, not squads. Our MBTs are quite far off because we haven't even started working on them, so that's what I meant. How well do you think I'll be able to hide in the catbird camo? So in maps like a forest or Operation First Light and Nestia, it works quite well. That's the current maps we're testing. But in the future, you'll be able to get access to arid versions of the uniforms. They're not as high priority as the current set of character models, but we'll definitely introduce arid versions. The work we have to put in order to get the arid versions is relatively low, so we definitely want to do it as soon as we can. But we'll try to get a good baseline going first, which means that Canadians will be also very viable in maps like Sumari or Kohat or what have you, desert map.
I can actually give a quick rundown why it will be rather easy for us to introduce arid versions, if you guys would like to. I can show a quick thing. Let me just hide this thing. You don't have to see a whole folder structure, I think. So let's say we want to add arid Canadians. I will just load this huge file and continue on doing the awesome ID work for my pouches in the meantime. So yeah, like I said, first we introduced the temperate versions, the temperate woodland version, because I think it was quite nice to look at, and it could profit a lot for some of the woodland maps. So we have our body texture, which is currently loading. I'm sorry, my computer isn't the fastest, especially once I have like the engine and 2 instances of Substance Paint open.
Vehicles on launch, probably light transport vehicles. We're currently debating still if we're gonna do the G-Wagon or the TAPV. TAPV being a new light transport. I think even modular platform. Somebody might correct me on that. and the TPV is a bit more interesting to us because it's a new and fresh platform. So yeah, you'll have various like in the full launch, in the full first launch, you'll have APCs, light vehicles, and perhaps an MBT, but that might be something post full launch. We'll definitely do some sort of beta launch where people can test our mod on some servers and download it from Steam. But we obviously need a bit more time to complete the vehicles, as they are probably the biggest chunk of the work that's in front of us.
Yeah, so this is our base body model. It's not full resolution, it's currently set to 2K because otherwise my computer might explode. And let's say we want to do some arid version. That's super simple because I set everything up as a smart material in Substance Painter, which is awesome for this. So I just have to switch out one texture. And I mean, of course, there's some more things we want to tackle with the arid version, especially regarding a nice mix of camo we have. And you see stuff like this Velcro pad here and all that other things, of course, need some rework done, but we're quite ready to say that soon after our character is basically super done with all the new things I'm working on right now, that we can do a rather quick version of arid character models after that to have a faction we can put into some Middle Eastern or Afghan maps. I won't save this now. So if anyone wants to know what I'm doing right here is we just received this new things literally just before the stream. So I'm splitting everything up right now. So we have this nice ID map already, which is on the things, but I need to split them up into the nice folders in Substance Painter so I can tackle each thing one by one. But I may stop that for now and simply start texturing some things after I did that last pouch. So here. So basically I'm separating everything so I know what I texture, and inside these folders I separate things even more too. Let's say we want to tackle this goggles. Yeah, actually, Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff is quite a good idea, because what we did forget to put at the end of the trailer was our Facebook URL. It's in the description, but I think not too many of you guys saw it. So follow us on Facebook. We'll probably do some announcements there, post some screenshots, and keep everything right there as a news hub for now until our website isn't up. Yeah, I have to switch, flip them around. I have quite a lot of references right here. That's my newest ref board right here. So yeah, it's vertical. The pattern is vertical on arid versions, and horizontal on temperate woodland. So also we have a beret for this super special screenshots and all the things, you know. So
hello everybody, this is Jettins. Am I getting through?
Yeah, you're getting through. Hey.
Hello. Yeah, I'm the character artist. You can see here some of the detail that Ross was showing you here. That really the magic happens when you transfer the detail from the high poly sculpt to the big game ready mesh through a bake process that then allows you to be able to texture the character, as you can see here. Ross was showing you.
You want to explain
Go
how
ahead.
you started out working on some of these accessory models? Like, obviously, we guys go on a reference hunt, and mostly Baron is confirming whether they are accurate or not. But how do you start out modeling?
Yeah, well, the biggest help actually has been the guys who've been providing me the excellent resources with reference images, stuff that you can't get because you just don't find that online. So having a compilation of good resources definitely helps me figure out what kind of design I want to do and making decisions as to where I should go instead of here or there, so that I get the best overall look for the style for the soldiers.
Right, yeah. And then
Okay.
you're saying, so once you have created the high poly, the next step would be to bake the textures onto the low poly mesh, which goes through a poly mesh reduction process, more or less, right? And then you bake those textures from the high poly and transfer them onto the low poly.
Yes, more or less. Once you have the high detail sculpt, you then have to reduce it so that the game engine can handle all that information. And then once you have the game ready mesh, then you transfer the details from the high poly into the low poly through the bake process, so that you can get a character that looks pretty good, even though they're very light on resources.
And how much Polycount are we talking currently with our character set? If it's like a very average set, not fully geared, but like on average?
On the average, we're pulling about 88,000 triangles, between about 85,000 triangles. Um, and then the LODs, we're talking about 37 or 35, and then they divide by 3 after that as you go on the LOD count.
Yeah, awesome. That's more or less comparable to how Squad is currently setting up their characters, right? In terms of resources.
Yeah, precisely identical in terms of functionality. The characters are one-to-one in every respect, so they interface seamlessly into the Squad SDK, as you guys have done yourselves. And I mean, it really is a thing of beauty that you have something so well structured that you can just design to it for the target system, and then have characters that are efficient and work precisely for that particular game engine in that game. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed is that, I mean, to have something that really works well for the Squad SDK, it seems to me that you have to design from the beginning to that particular target, considering the different characters that they have, and also technically the aspects of the body proportions, the fingers, and so that everything moves and behaves precisely as expected when it comes to the animations and the deformations when the character moves the joints of the body.
Yeah, so during the skinning process, you might have to adjust some positions uh, of the of the arms and legs in order to move along the skeleton as accurate as possible, right? In order to ensure
Mhm.
very smooth animations without any kind of stretching.
Correct. And there's a lot of back and forth since the animations are already designed. You have to model and skin for the animations themselves, essentially. So to ensure that all the positions, the proportions, the beginning of your elements and the end of them are placed in such a way where you maximize and you create grace in your motions, because you've placed everything in the right place and you've skinned it so that it deforms as intended.
Yes, great. We can see now Rutz doing the strap material.
Yeah, right now I'm just taking like pre-made smart materials and I'm assigning them so I can get a rough idea of the thing I'm working on right now. And afterwards I'll tackle things like color, if I really like how the normal map really flows through here. I'm sorry. And after that I'm giving it like a roughing it up pass, so I'm going from from a very high point of detail, down to even lower, even lower, even lower to make it more detailed in steps. So first I'm getting the rough idea, and then always I'm going down to the biggest and the smallest details. So otherwise I may just spend 2 hours on a single thing and lose a complete focus of what I'm doing right now.
Just kind of like sketching out something.
Exactly.
You place some smart materials that would fit that kind of surface, and then you roughen it up. You add some more detail, confirm the reference pictures, and refine it over time. Yeah, it's like an iterative process with like most of things.
Exactly, like I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, okay, this is this material, this is this material. So right now I'm not really doing any blocking, any colors changes. I'm just like, we call it blocking in, and it's basically the same with modeling as with texturing itself these days, at least. Back in the day when I did all this in Photoshop, I had not such a fun time as in Substance Painter. Also, a huge collection of smart materials really helps with designing these things. Basically, I do every texture work these days in Substance Painter. And I'm also drinking beer while streaming. Hopefully you guys are okay with that.
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah. So in the end, this thing won't be blue and an ugly brown or red for that chance. So right now I'm just looking at materials that are fitting. Yeah, Moose, I know, it's really scandalous. As Europeans don't really have a lot of... I forgot the word. No, I'm not drunk already. Don't really care about alcohol in public, you know.
Yeah, and the backpack in the back you can see is gonna be used for more of the heavy roles, including the medic. And same goes with, like, for the backpack, the same principle applies as to all our models. We keep them as modular as possible, and this backpack in particular can hold different pouches to it, so we can easily iterate on them and add pouches that are more related to a medic or more related to an AT guy. And if you start working in a very modular approach, you'll have much bigger success adding variety to your mod. So I think all modulars can agree that you should definitely keep your models as modular as possible and then combine them to the specific use case. For instance, a medic role.
Yeah, also this backpack is a really nice way to see how Jettins optimizes his things, because you can see there's a lot of missing things here. Like you would have some buckles here, but we only have these three, so I have a chance to variate the texture between these three, and we can take them and spread them all over the model itself. So we don't have to use texture space that much if we would have like 10 different buckles, which no one will ever notice, but we have 3 and we can spread it all over the model in the end. So we save some texture space, but also keep it slightly different, slight variations between all these buckles.
The good thing about having modularity is so that you can very quickly interchange between different characters. And also in the future, I'm planning to add a mesh library with skin history, which essentially for those that are into modding, they could easily recreate and rebuild the files based on the differences on the meshes. Say, for instance, you like to have a backpack, and then you can pick that backpack and then put in your character, and then just with the click of a button and running through a script, it binds it into the skeleton and allows you to have it ready for export.
Yeah, we did show them Scrub already, but we might return to the SDK later and show them in full glory. Especially in certain lighting conditions, the roughness maps really add a lot of detail and make the C7 in particular look very outstanding.
So Chuck makes fun of my accent. That's awesome.
Texture space.
Texture space. I'm Scottish suddenly. But yeah, here you go, Scrub. Because you joined late, you didn't see me flying around like a crazy man in the engine in the beginning. So we have our beautiful, beautiful character models. We have the current version of the C7 in there, which is still work in progress, like I said. I'm still working on some details. Let's just take a quick stroll through it, because I think you guys didn't see our beautiful browning yet.
Oh yeah, true.
Which Frederick made before he started working on this. Before he started working on the Carl Gustav, he was doing this Browning high power, very old pistol, but still in use with the Canadians. As far as I know, we can also use it like literally in game.
Yeah, I think it's working already. Yeah, we used it in our small tests on the server, and it works nice. Obviously, it uses animation from the M9 Beretta, so it's not 100% accurate, but it's pretty close and a satisfiable result so far. We might revise the animations over time, obviously, to make them fit a bit better or to add a bit more character to our whole mod, like as a whole. But it integrates really, really nice, especially with the animations. They're very forgiving, and it's very easy for us, at least, to introduce new weapons and have them integrate almost seamlessly.
Yeah, here it is. So I'm sorry for the frame rate. This is the editor, and I'm playing particles in the background. So, but yeah, we have the Beretta working. The Browning, I always say Beretta.
You can see there when the character holds the weapon, there's a certain way that things have to be set up in order to get that precise feel to it. A lot of trial and error was done to create that final look there.
But yeah, most of the stuff that we teased, and this is a bug in the SDK, or like when we switch from third person to first person. A lot of the stuff you've seen already is also already in the game. So everything we've shown pretty much wasn't just like a big old tease, but also already working in the game.
Yeah, Bayonet 2K as well.
Yeah.
2000. And so right now we have more or less 3 weapons ready, with the Alcan just being a retexture. And currently working, for those who are currently joining in, we have 3 weapons ready: the Bayonet 2000, the Browning High Power, and the C7A2. And in plans, we still have all the automatic rifles, machine guns, the C8 for things like medics and squad leaders, and some variation kits. And yeah, many more to come. As I've said in the very early beginning, we're currently working on a full announcement to really show the scope of the mod we are currently working on, and so you can have a reference point to what the mod includes once it releases. That is still work in progress. So once we have the full announcement, including trailer and website ready, you'll probably get a huge announcement from us.
Yeah, we have Dog's Buddy, a really talented guy working on our trailer things. He also was responsible for our teaser that a lot of you seem to have enjoyed. Thanks for checking it out on YouTube. 3K views, that's really, really awesome. That was really surprising to us as well. So yeah, these streams will be not really like any week at a special time or something, but we're trying to do them in some kind of regular way. But it may not always be me, it may not always be Mitsu, but we're trying to keep you guys updated and keep you guys in the loop of what we're doing, how we're doing it, etc., etc. So if you're enjoying this, just be sure we're gonna do it again, and hopefully often enough to keep you guys in the loop. And Mitsu, please PM Scrub, because I want some custom sounds.
He already messaged me. We sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely like it in that respect. Other than that, I think we're pretty much good. We have one guy working on cinematics and sequencer, which is a great learning experience for the whole team because it's super valuable skill, I feel. Staging your own shots with sequencer and having small camera pans. I mean, the tool is super powerful. And having Doc's buddy teachers a trick or two is definitely helpful. And then we have Baron, who's I think in the reserves, right? And he's been our primary source of truth when it comes to references. He has great connections to active duty personnel and other reserves, so we'll get the most accurate information that's out there probably. And we have Jettins, obviously the man creating all the highly detailed character models. And yeah, he generates.
And when it comes to characters, I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have good references. So it's very important to have a variety of them to finalize the right look for your character.
Yes, right. And yeah, you've definitely generated some hypes around the mod once we have released the first character screens. And yeah, then we have Frodoruk, who's part of our 3D artist team. He's worked on the Browning High Power and is currently working on the M2 Carl Gustav. Then we have r0tzbua, obviously, doing 3D art and giving a bit of art direction in certain aspects and doing some of the texturing. And I do more or less just marketing and a little bit of project management, keeping everybody in the loop, organizing the team, organizing the project. And we have, I think, part-time Zeno, who's, I think, part of OWI by now. But he's obviously, he joined us way before he joined OWI, so he's pretty much just doing stuff for them, which is fine. But every now and then he works on a level if he has time. So yeah, we're currently 7 guys, and all the key roles are filled. But if there's anyone out there with some 3D chops, feel free to message us. We're definitely looking for more 3D artists to join our team. Just be warned, we are certainly not willing to take in everyone at this point. We have some sort of minimum requirements we impose, just to make sure that we follow the same art direction, we use the same tools, we have the same kind of skill level, just to make sure that the end result is as good as it can be.
Yeah, but if you're good with vehicle modeling, please come to us. I mean, we have some modelers, but right now we're working mostly on weapons and our characters, so if you have really, like, checked out completely the working with vehicles and maybe even how they are going into squad itself, please come to us. We're most definitely not going to send you away if you're good and know your way around vehicles. Or if you have access to an LAV, please come to us too. We'd like to take a ride for sure. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm blocking in materials. And this is quite a tedious job, so I think everyone's always thinking the texture part is like the most easy part of that, which it is, because in the end the modeling takes way too long and is really the hard job. But like here, sitting around, turning the light around, seeing how the light hits everything is quite taking a lot of time to get it perfect, which I always try to do, even if a lot of people would say it's not perfect in the end. But mostly I stop working on one thing then for a bit and go to the next thing, so my eyes don't wear out. Hey, protocol. And do all these things not at once and finish them, but granularly work down everything. So like for example, now we have the boonie, and now I'm saving things. Great. Woohoo. Yeah, like I said, I'm having too much things open. But here you have the boonie, and the good thing is me having this smart material ready, so I can just slap it on and have a great base already for my texture. The most tedious part is actually redrawing all those stitches. I actually don't know if I have like a ID for it, but we can check it out.
You actually do for the stitches from the bony, you do.
Oh, awesome. Like, I can... Oh, that was wrong. Oh god, Jettins, I love you. Fuck, that's awesome. If I would be able to...
You want to explain to those who are not as familiar to material IDs as you guys are, what they're useful for? Like if somebody's just working off of Blender and they just dump everything into UV sheet and texture it in Photoshop, like what's the big advantage in a material ID?
Yeah, for mostly the material IDs, it's nothing but a color map assigned to the model on baking. So the texture artist or whoever does the texture, even if you're doing it yourself, has a bit of an easier way to texture everything, because then he can select everything like from the color sheet and doesn't have to select like if I didn't have the color ID map here, I would have to take every single stitch here and would have drawn a mask around it in a way that is not really fun. Like without an ID map, and I did this somewhere, I don't know why, I would have done this. Which is not fun, I can tell you. This is really annoying to do, especially if you have a lot of the stitches, like on the boonie, of course, you have quite a lot.
Yeah, that would take you hours probably.
Yeah, that would take me quite some time. And I'm trying
essentially it's like a multicolor mask that allows you to select the particular color for texturing.
So in this way I can simply use this and assign a different material to the stitches, so they get even more contrast on the end texture. I mean, realistically, no one will crawl that close to you and look at the stitches on your boonie, but I really like to do it like this, especially on models like a character that gets a lot of attention, and maybe someone sits next beside to you in a chopper in the future or in a truck and has nothing to do for 5 minutes other than look at your hat. So I want it to look really good and work right.
Yeah, right. So for those who are not as familiar with the material ID workflow, you should definitely check it out. Definitely speeds up the process, especially on characters. I think we also used it for the weapons. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I used it for the C7 as well.
It helps separate parts that are supposed to be plastic from parts that are supposed to be metal, and you do that in a very abstract way in the baking process. So you work just off very, very strong contrast colors, and then inside Painter, you use those colors as a way to easily and more efficiently get your materials into the right places. So yeah, hand masking Photoshop is no fun, and that's why you should probably get used to Material ID workflow.
Could be a little tedious setting it up, but it's definitely worth it in the end, because you can get those very precise paint jobs into your character if you have a Material ID.
So here you see the other way to do it, like these small metal pieces that may have an material ID map as well. I don't know, I didn't check, but just to show the other way to do it is mostly what I'm trying to do is I want everything to be changeable. So I don't draw masks completely on the smart materials or materials in Painter. I always make a new folder, add a black mask, and then add a paint layer or a color selection to it. So I can just slap the material in there, and if something ever really changes, or if I have to redo something, I don't have a lot of problems because I still have the mask in here. So if I would have like different masks on different layers of a material, in the end it would work out really bad, because then I would have to do this for every material that I change. So I talk about material and type in material, of course. Like for these things, I want like a nice painted metal. So now I can simply slap this smart material into this folder, and everything is great, except the color, of course. But I can change this quite easy. Pick something from around here. And by doing this, you see if it's just normal map detail, in the end it's great and it's really beautiful from afar. But if you like change the material in this, the roughness is completely different, the metalness of course is completely different, and suddenly it gets a lot more detailed. Yeah. So how do you find the material IDs? This depends on what modeling what modeling software you work on. I could show it for 3ds Max, but I think Jettins, you work in, do you set them up in ZBrush or Maya?
Yeah, I do it in ZBrush. Essentially, the way I do it is called the group ID, which essentially creates an ID mask for every high poly part that I bake, and so every color that you see essentially was a different mesh of a different file, you could say.
Yeah, I can do I do most of my baking in Marmoset Toolbag 3. So basically I set up my material IDs either in 3ds Max or in Marmoset, depending on how complicated they are. But I can do a quick rundown how to do it in 3ds Max actually, which has nothing to do with CAF mod, but I'm such a nice guy. So if it would load up already. So the most important thing is you set the material ID up on at least I do it on the high poly. So if we have like a box here, I love box. And let's say you have your material editor in Max, and this is okay, this is a great bug, I love it. You set up Multi-sub object material, keep the old material as a sub-material. I set the number of materials to 2 for now. I have the standard gray one and I have the second one, which is a nice red. So this is the high poly mesh. Let's call it box high poly. And let's duplicate it. To copy, this is box low poly, let's say. The only thing these have is that they have this like belt in the middle. So I assign the material, the multi-sub material, and then first I give everything the ID of 1. Then I give this belt the ID of 2. Then I prepare it for export, like you say, high poly, put it on desktop. And the low poly, where we have to check the UVs, see if they're fine. No, they're not. So this is a beautiful normal map. And export it as box low. Now I go into Marmoset, make a new baker, load our boxes. And you can see here we have the ID basically on the high poly, and we have nothing on the low poly. So when I do material ID, sorry, I have to say where I want to load it. I want to bake it, box, do a preview bake, and I do the, holy shit, the real bake then afterwards. So I'm baking normals and a met ID now, and you can see it baked it. Select baking the second color ID to its completely different color on the UV map. So whenever I want to load this now into Substance Painter, I can choose this as an ID map, and this way I have an easier time texturing it, this beautiful box. The Bundesheer mod for now is on hold. Let's say it's on hold. I have other things to work on right now, including the CAF mod things. Also, I think the target audience that would enjoy Canadians is quite a lot higher than would enjoy the Austrian army. But I may be wrong in this. You can prove me otherwise, of course.
Yeah, but thanks for showing it off. I'm sure you can get really deep into it, and the best resource probably on more complex material IDs and how to create them, or ID maps, you should probably revert to some experts on learning platforms or otherwise YouTube.
Yeah, you can come step by the modding hub, the squad modding hub, where a lot of us hang around, and you can always ask questions there, of course.
There's always a lot of people willing to help. If you voice your opinion and you voice your questions, you're persistent, you'll be surprised how up to speed you can get with this.
Yeah, I don't think any of us would be there where we are right now without asking stupid questions on the internet. So I'm getting really mad at you, arsonist. Yeah, for example, we have this beret here, and this beret has, regarding my references, this beautiful references, this is the band on the bottom is of course a different material than the top, so I would mask out the bottom and have the top in a different way. I know this is kind of the boring part I am right now in Substance Painter, and I really promise I will stream again once I'm a bit more far into the process. Is there anything you guys would like to see still? So, because this is a bit tedious, and I know it can be a bit tedious, but I would be happy to show off some other stuff we have in the works right now, or how stuff works in the engine. Or Mitsu wants to talk about more things, I don't know.
I think we've touched on most of the things. If there's something that's unclear, feel free to ask us. But at this point, we'll just grind through it. We have so much work still ahead of us. The backlog in our project management tool is huge. There's a huge pile of things. And if you're interested in contributing to our project, feel free to get in touch with us. We're still looking for hard surface artists in the creation of all things weapons and vehicles. And we have a huge pile of resources if you need to access them. Yeah, so feel free to get in touch with us.
In other totally contrary news, Substance Painter just crashed on me, which is great.
As always.
Yeah, it's really lovely. Let's see if we have like an autosave of things. I mean, I automatically press. Oh no, we don't. Control S. Biggest tip for having Substance Painter is press Control S like all the time. It tends to crash quite a lot, like literally. Especially if you have a bit older computer like I do, which I'm very sorry if you have some waiting times here, or I hope the stream quality itself is fine. I don't know, I think you would have been shouting at me if it wasn't.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, so give me a second. I'd say for now we're done, except you guys wanna do some more things, have some more questions. Otherwise, we'll promise we'll be back in a short while. But as I see German in the chat, I don't think there's any more questions right now. So anyways, if you have anything you want to contact us about, mostly you can via the official squad Discord or the squad modding hub. Just ping Mitsu. He really loves private messages, I think.
I really do, yeah.
And yeah, for now, I can just salute you and really enjoyed you having here, and I hope you enjoyed having a quick small, come on, animate for me, quick small introduction what we are doing right now and what we are planning to achieve with this thing. So, thanks for joining us. See you guys next time, I guess.